Hi, my name is Kim, and this is my story. About 30 years ago, this month in July, my dad got on a plane to go on a business trip, as he did it pretty much every Monday morning. He was a passenger on a United Flight 232 that crashed in Sioux City, Iowa, July 19th of 1989. And the day that he left was pretty much typical summer morning. I got up, I was getting ready to go to work. He was at the kitchen table, and I hugged him and said, "Bye, Dad, I'll see you on Friday when you get home, and I love you." And I went out to the car, and I was just overcome with this unbelievable, horrible feeling that I couldn't quite describe. And I just sat there, and it took everything I could do not to sit there and cry and to go to work. But I got to work, which is only about 5 minutes away, and I just had this feeling in my gut that I needed to call him one more time, and I could not quite figure out where this was coming from or why, but I called him, and I just said, "I just wanted to tell you one more time that I love you." And I'm very glad I did, because like I said, the plane did not make it to where it was scheduled to go. It crash landed in Sioux City, Iowa, and my dad and many others perished on that flight, but miraculously more people survived than did not. And that was a very pivotal point in my life. I was 20 years old when that happened, and it shaped my entire life from then on. I think first just in, there's the sense of shock, like, I can't believe this is really happening. And when you would turn on the news and see the plane crash, and it was on the news for a long time. This was before social media, and it was on the news for weeks and weeks. And every time you'd turn it on and you'd see it, and it was like a gut punch all over again, that I can't believe this is actually happening. Once the shock of it wears off and you realize he's not coming home, then you go through the grief part of it and the missing him and all of the grief of, he's not going to be there when I get married, he's not going to be there when I have kids, he's not going to get to be a part of my entire adult life. And there were a lot of days when I was angry and upset with God. And I remember at the checkout stand at the grocery store one day, there was a Life magazine, and the cover of it was "Finding God on Flight 232. And the magazine told the stories of many of the survivors, many of the people that didn't make it. And I think that was sort of a turning point a little bit in my thinking and in my emotions of, where is God in this? He's here. I know he's here. I do believe what I've always professed to believe. I know that my dad is with God now, but where is he in all of this with me? And it was just sort of a realization that even in the moments when I couldn't explain how I felt, and the grief was just there, and it was an ever-present part of my life for a very long time, that he was just there. And it was because it was the first time that the rubber hit the road. Do I really believe what I say I believe happens after you die? My dad was a Christian, and I had in fact asked him earlier in the summer, "Dad, aren't you ever afraid of flying? Planes crash and it's awful, and aren't you ever scared?" And he said, "No, I know where I'm going, and I'm good with that." And so when this happened, I at least had that to hold on to. And when the Bible talks about the peace that passes understanding, I now understand what that means. Miss him terribly, but I have the hope of knowing that when I die, because of my belief in what Christ did on the cross, that we'll be together again. And I had forgotten until Pastor Mike and I were talking about this story, that when this happened, I had a conversation with God that went something along the lines of, "This is horrible, and I hate every minute of this, and I don't understand why I have to go through this. Why did my dad die and somebody else's dad lived? And I know I'm not going to get the answer to why, but I will tell this story whenever I get the opportunity, in the hope that it will bless someone or help someone understand what it means to be a Christian." And then my sister and my mom and I went out to the memorial just this past June, just on a weekend trip. to see the actual physical memorial that they've placed out in Sioux City. That was kind of a healing thing too, because they had a lot of quotes of people that were part of the rescue efforts, and the statue of the man carrying the little boy out of the cornfield, and realizing that, 30 years is a lot of time, and we're still here, and God's still working on us and using this to make us better people. It's completely changed how I relate to people. It changed and shaped how I think I am as a parent. I don't ever take even the mundane moments for granted. My son's up in Greeley now, graduated from college, and even if I get 5 minutes with him, and this past week he literally came home, and he was home long enough to hug me before he had to go off and do something else, and I just cherish that. And I think that sense of, you don't know how much time you have, so you take advantage of it. You tell the people that you love them. You spend the boring moments together in the grocery store or cleaning house or whatever, because that's what you have. You have time.